Thanks. Sitting patiently on the phone today is a man leading everyone's favourite rugby league loving nation. He has helped coach a number of teams, including the Melbourne Storm. He is currently the head coach of the PNG Hunters. Matthew Church, welcome to Chasing Kangaroos.
Thanks, Big T. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be on Chasing Kangaroos.
Yeah, fantastic, man. And we're suggesting that this could possibly be the first ever podcast episode dedicated to Papua New Guinea Rugby League. To the best of your knowledge, could that be right?
As far as I know, I haven't heard one. So
yeah, excellent.
We'll run with that anyway. We'll claim it, eh?
Yeah, and then your name will now be on that Wikipedia page. We're part of history, mate. Congratulations. And while I'm congratulating you, congratulations on the appointment.
Yeah, thank you. It's certainly an historic move for the club. And also for myself. I think I've put myself in a position over a number of years of keep turning up and working hard and finally getting the fruits of that and seeing it as a full-time role.
Yeah, excellent, champion. Now, how did you originally get into rugby league, though?
My dad was a player.
Yep.
He played a bit of reserve grade for Western Brisbane back before I was born. He then moved on to play for Sanford, which is a local Brisbane team that play out of one of the sub-district competitions. And from 2 years old, I was the team mascot. I still have the jersey from back then. And,
really?
It had dollar curtains. Yeah, it had dollar curtains on the jersey of a sponsor, and I thought I was pretty cool turning up in my training with a sponsor in the jersey because no other junior jersey had those. But yeah, so that's one of my earliest memories, and the other ones was, I guess, we used to drop Dad off to some obscure spots. The team minibus would soon turn up not long after and pick him up and take off within half hanging out the door on the way to some away game. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's probably one of how I got involved and found the love of rugby league through my dad.
Yeah, right. And so they're your first memories of it then, watching your dad play?
Yeah. Other than watching Dad play, I remember as an 8-year-old, they used to do the half-time games of the BRL.
Right.
At Lang Park. So we headed to Lang Park on one Friday night in the middle of winter to play between I actually remember it, Brothers versus North.
Wow.
Back then we were barefoot in those days at 8 years old. So once you stepped onto the halo turf, your feet went instantly numb. I don't have the fondest memories of my first encounter with Lang Park. My first touch, I did a hit up off the tap. I went down, carried off, not to return. So
no.
I had the opportunity to play on there a couple more times and create better memories. But I would say, that playing as an 8-year-old and, growing up loving watching State of Origin.
Right.
Mum always used to make me go to bed early and then wake me up to watch it and over a couple of hot Milos. So they were really exciting. Really exciting times as a kid.
Yeah, there's something in that. We've got to get on the NRL recruitment because I think hot cups of Milo is an excellent way to get kids probably to do anything, but particularly to up watching and involved in rugby league. Great thinking. The church mum she's revolutionising rugby league back in the day. Now, you sound like a crazed...
Milo are a big sponsor up here.
Oh, are they?
Mate. Yeah, they're involved with the NRL up here, so they look after sponsor some stuff with them anymore, in partnership with the NRL with the programs before they obviously get into the national schools league up here. So I might have done them a favour.
For sure.
Plugging them.
This is starting to make a lot of sense. So your family's crazed watching football, eating Milo. PNG is a crazed rugby league nation, eating Milo and watching football. I mean, what's your experiences been of the place so far, PNG?
They're certainly fanatical. I actually made my Queensland Cup debut at the very same oval that I'm about to make my coaching debut.
Shut up.
No. So the old Lloyd Robson Oval in '97, when the previous incarnation of the PNG Queensland Cup side, the Port Moresby Vipers, were in the competition. So ever since then, I've been taken by their passion for the game. They're so passionate. They expect immediate success, which is a little bit daunting at times. But over the past 3 seasons, they've lost 20 odd players overseas. Which ultimately we need to have our players exposed high level competitions overseas for our long-term international success.
Yeah, yeah.
But with that, it's highlighted a need for improvement in the current development systems in PNG. We're lucky that we have a national competition at 12 teams, so there's a pool of 360 players all trying to become hunters.
Yeah, wow.
There's also 4 regions or conferences within PNG, but all with their own league or associate league.
Wow.
So in December the Hunters Home Stadium hosted a nines tournament, a men's nines tournament. So it was only for the Southern Conference, so only teams within the Southern region could attend.
Right.
They had 76 teams play over a 4 or 5 day competition. So
sorry,
no
how many?
Of players or talent. 76.
No,
teams.
So I thought you said 7 or 6, but I just wanted to check. You're saying 76. No. Far out.
76. So there's no shortage of players or talent, just a shortage of quality coaching at the moment. So I'm hoping to improve that.
Right. So that's probably. I mean, you said players are going overseas, and so bringing them up through those development things. But the major focus you think is coaching.
Yeah, definitely. So if you Michael Marum, obviously, who I took over, is a level 3 qualified coach. Only one in country. There's now 2 because I held the level 3. But prior to me coming here, there was only Michael at level 3 and 2 others at level 2.
Wow.
Since then, 3 put through the latest level 2 coaching. Yet to be accredited yet, but that's where I see the shortage or the downfall of it is just that there's so many players, but there's a lack of quality coaching, I guess.
But is that because, I'm trying to work out why. Or are those 76 teams, they've all got coaches, they're just not accredited? Or is it people just don't want to coach?
Yeah, they're just, people want to coach, so they all have a coach. It's just that there's no formal process. So I'm working with the NRL. Even some of our boys on their off days, the Hunters boys will go back and coach some of their local leagues if they're from around the area. So I'm looking at getting those boys at level 1 accreditation just while they're in with us and working closely with Mark Mommett, the NRL, to be able to provide that platform for them so that, if they see a development pathway going forward, then maybe there's something in that for them. So
yeah.
No, and it also is going to help, I guess, me if they're having to coach week to week, then they're getting an understanding of where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Far out. Okay, rad. So let's look specifically at the Hunters. What's been your first experience with the team as a head coach?
There was a fair bit of trepidation from the players. Yeah. Nervous to see what the new coach would be like. For me personally, having coached against the team last year, I felt that we really needed to work on their skill set. Mm-hmm. Go right back to basics and just work on improving their efficiency. To me, rugby league is a game about time. So you save time in your catch pass, but that also creates time for the next player that you're passing it to. Right. So there's a huge focus on that and just perfecting or making their technique a little bit more efficient. And I guess that probably comes back to the coaching that's not there that we're used to back in Australia. But to the players' credit, they've taken to everything. I'm so grateful and for them to be open to my coaching.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, and I've seen a few articles recently where you've been talking about how improving personal goals for people, trying to help them get to their personal goals is really how coaches find success. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think I do it by giving them an understanding of why you're doing something a certain way. A lot of coaches back in the day used to go, I want to do it like this, but there's no explanation of why you're doing that. Right. Giving them an understanding of that, just having clear role clarity in what they should be doing in their role and knowledge of how their role fits into the process of the bigger scheme. And I think you really need to invest in your players. So you've got to want to make them better people, not just better players. And I guess lastly, and especially with PNG people, they're emotive. So you need to capture their heart. So they'll buy into you way before they buy into what you know. Yeah,
wow. Can you just take me back to the role bit? I'm going to get to this heart and mind thing a bit later on, but I often hear coaches talk about you just got to do your job or do your role. Can you pinpoint a position for me and tell me what what would you be telling a prop forward his or her role would be for a game or for a period of time?
Okay, So if you're talking positionally, just stay between the scrum lines.
Yep.
If you've got a prop going down a short, so regardless of where you're transitioning from attack or to defence, you sort of don't want to be crossing over more than one person. So if you've got a prop running down, coaches might do that, but if you've got a prop going down a short side, to me, in my system, I think he's out of position.
Yep.
So it's more about, okay, well, let the ball do the work, get to the far side of the field, and it's going to come back to you.
Right.
We want to play with a bit of width. So, and if I can break it down even further to the role of dummy half, if we played off one scrum line and then, and shifted to the right and went out that side into the 10 metre zone, well, I don't want him running from that scrum line all the way over to the other side of the field. That's why it's hard on their dummy half passing. So let him just stay in the middle of the field and have two passes we can get back into the middle of the field. So instead of just sort of having a lay play, let's be more dynamic. But it's more efficiency as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my dummy half if he's running from one side of the field to the other, when he could just stay in the middle and let someone else step up to do that role for one little piece.
And a message like that, do you go and tell him? You go and tell your dummy half that a couple of times so he gets it in, or do you tell the team that while talking to the dummy half, so the team gets that whole message about what his role is, or do you go and tell him?
Yeah. So I think initially you've got to tell the whole team, so they've all got an understanding of where each person fits into the process.
Right.
And then if he doesn't do it, that's when you can pull him aside and do it one-on-one. Yeah. I think coaching at the highest levels, the less you can break down the whole session just to talk to one person, the better. So you need to have your session continually flow, and you can just grab that one person and go, hey, I need you to be here, or give them that little bit of feedback so that we're not breaking and we're not stopping the whole session, because you're going to create a bad habit there. Yeah, right. You're going to create a habit of the team just stops if we don't get the call the right way or whatever it might be.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, thinking about those sessions and your squad, who's really impressed you or excited you at the moment in your playing group?
There's been a number of guys. I think what people across the world love about Papua New Guinea is their physicality. They just give everything they've got. We did a session yesterday with running into pads, and it was getting out of control. It was like just playing by left, right, and centre. So
with tags,
it's good. I love it. With the pads, like the tackle shields, the tackle pads. So it's good to see because they love the contact. So. Obviously excited to see we've got a few test players in the squad, so I'm excited what they can bring to the group. I guess one of the boys that's been in the squad for the last few years, and he's had a bit of injury, interrupted season last year, is a bloke called Ila Alu. Okay. And he essentially has the perfect skill set for the way I want the boys to play. So, and he's been really outstanding in the pre-season and was voted by players and staff as displaying great leadership. So we've since named him our vice captain.
Excellent. Right. Wow.
Yeah, there's a couple of other first year players that have really impressed me with their competitive nature. Guys like Casey Dixon and Emmanuel Wane. They're just balls of muscle. They're raw, but they're just balls of muscle, and they just want to play. Yeah. Another first year player is a guy called Steve Bruno. He actually only took up playing rugby league a couple of years ago after growing up playing soccer. Oh, wow. He's still very raw. But a representative from his community rang to say what an impression him being in the Hunters camp had made on the young boys from where he's from. So they've stopped smoking, stopped trying the beetle nut, stopped playing soccer, and started playing rugby league. So to me, that's impact. Yeah, it's outstanding.
Well, talking about impact, let's go back to that winning the hearts to win the minds thing. How do you do something like that?
Oh, it's just you've got to have authentic relationships. You've got to care about your players. But I think the easiest way to do that is, I'm actually here to serve my players. I think if I think back to people throughout my playing days, or coaches that I've had, that the ones that look after their own interests don't tend to last very long in organisations. They kind of get shuffled out the door. Right. And I think it's because, they're trying to use their players to serve them. And I've got my own goals, no doubt about it. I'm an aspirational kind of person. But but if I'm not serving my players, then they're not going to play to their best, which means it's not going to help me in the long run anyway. So I've got to be there to offer any assistance that I can. So I think that's probably the easiest way that you can get them on your side. Yeah. But as I said before, they buy into you way before they buy into what you know. So you've got to be someone of character or someone that they want to follow, I guess.
Yeah. And I read yesterday that one of the biggest challenges you were saying was, while even speaking to the playing group, not many people in the PNG you've found culturally swear a lot. And as someone with a tradie background, you were finding that really difficult not to use that language. I mean, I'm sure that's not actually your biggest challenge. But what have you found to be probably your biggest challenge facing you in this upcoming season?
I think for going forward, last year, the biggest challenge, I guess, come forward is turning around the self-image. So the back end of last year, they had 50 and 60 points put on them fairly regularly.
Yeah.
So that's a fair shift from that to being, winning games.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Being able to just stay in the contest and face that adversity. I think a big challenge with them also is getting them to play at or over the advantage line and to play in numbers. They were very one out last year.
Right.
Passed really deep. So with the defences these days, the deception's all at the line, so passing deep gives the opposition the chance to double defend or more time to shut down that. So that would be the biggest kind of challenges, I guess, facing the team. And for me personally, it'd be just managing that public expectation. The team and myself want to restore the pride in what the Hunters mean to us, essentially, but also to what it means to all the people of PNG.
Okay, and would you say that's your major goal for the next 2 years, or are there other major things you want to try and tick off?
Oh no, I've got a few things. Obviously, just continuous improvement. So I've spoke all pre-season about just each session just being better than the last, and I think if we just work on small increments of improvement, that's where we'll I guess negate that self-image that we're probably carrying from last year.
Right.
The other two goals that I've got or plans that I have in place is just coach education. So upskill as many coaches as possible that I can. So I'll work with the 12 Big Yourself Cup coaches to share my knowledge and knowledge transfer down to them and what we're looking for in our Hunters players. And to me, that means that the Hunters are going to have a greater reach or exposure across the nation with that.
Right.
With our players, I think we need to educate them or offer them work placement programs. We need to make sure that they're better equipped for when they leave our program. They get into life or to a post-career football. When they're going back to their communities, they're going back better humans. And the other thing, which is probably a big one that gets overlooked, is just our development ideas. Just we need to expose our players at a younger age. So most of the boys that come through the Hunters program, they're in the mid-20s when they reach us.
Right.
So it's about exposing our talent at a younger age from that 18 to 20-year-old. So they're more attractive propositions to NRL or Super League clubs. And then that obviously, the more we can get into the NRL or Super League, it means a greater impact we're going to have on the international stage as well.
This job sounds, I don't want to simplify it, but I feel like if you're coaching the NRL team, your goal is, I'm going to try and win a competition. Whereas with a team that you've got, it's like you're really trying to, I'm trying to improve football, but I'm also really helping I'm really helping the country and its self-image and how it deals with itself. That's an incredibly huge job to take on. You must have known that's what you're getting into when you're doing it. Yeah,
well, I guess part of the interview process, when you know you're flying to PNG to interview for a job, and if you want to get it, you've got to swing for the fences and aim high.
Yeah,
I'd looked at, and obviously all of this is my take on it, and people might disagree with how I'm looking at it, but we want to push forward, and we need to. We're the closest thing that you'll get to an NRL organisation as it stands. Where our players are full-time, all my staff are full-time, whereas that doesn't happen at any other IFC club.
Yeah, right.
So we need to aim to be closer to the NRL, so that not only the football staff or the players, it's also our admin. If they want us to be the best in the IFC, then we need to have the best staff in the IFC. We need to have the best admin or back office in the IFC. So it's about dragging that standard up closer to the NRL, but also knowing that it's bottom up. So we need to help the level below us and drag them closer to where we are at the moment, so that everyone improves across the country.
Yeah, wow. What an incredible story that's happening over there. That's just fantastic. I'm really impressed, man. It's wow. Okay, well let's try. And you're talking a lot about the NRL. Can the PNG have a team in the NRL? Is that a foreseeable thing that could happen?
Oh, look, I think definitely it's a potential to have an NRL side based in PNG.
Yeah.
It's a few years ago the government backed PNG bid for 20 million Kenya, which I think translates to about 8.5 million Australian. Bid put together to try and buy the Titans license.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that mentality is probably the wrong way to enter the NRL. My personal take on it is it's not a nightclub and you get to pay at the door and they just let you in.
Right.
So I think that's the mindset that we need to try and change. If you look at PNG, there's more people playing rugby league in PNG than in Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, and New Zealand combined.
Wow. Combined? Far out.
Combined, yes. So for me, it's about development. So if that 20 million Kenya was spent in development and coach education would be a hell of a lot closer to the NRL today. The way that I see it, it's PNG's a production line just waiting to be switched on. So when we actually do get that right, it's when the NRL come knocking on our door and saying, hey, we want you to be involved with us.
Yeah, right. So it's not about paying your way in. It's working your way in. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's working. And, for want of a better term, anyone that's ever been headhunted, it's knocked on the door, and it's because of all the systems and processes that they do are in place. Yeah.
Okay, and now this makes so much sense because the team's called the Hunters, so you're going to be the Headhunters. Oh, yeah. There you go.
No, I don't know I don't know if we'll go down that line, but yeah, there definitely is potential to do that. So,
phenomenal.
Yeah, I believe it can happen. It's a matter of fact getting everyone on the bus, but also getting everyone on the right seat on the bus, pulling in the one direction. So.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, that sounds so exciting. How can people get involved and support that?
Okay, so I guess from a basic point of view, and most of the travelling teams that come up here, they're really great. They bring old playing kits or boots to donate, which is obviously great for a country that is crying out for that, and that's our national sport. So, but for me, I reckon at a basic level, that the actual footballs themselves would be the highest in demand. So my players ask me for balls all the time to take back to their local clubs when they go.
Really?
And while playing kits might benefit, one team and a pair of boots might benefit one person, a quality football can benefit a whole competition.
Yeah.
So if there's any ball makers out there listening and they got any seconds or anyone who wants to make donations, that would be greatly appreciated. So that's just at a basic level.
Yeah.
Now, I had a really good think about this the other day, and one thing that just keeps coming back to me would be that the lack of quality coaching. So on a higher level, if there were people or organisations out there who wanted to donate time and resources to coach upskilling, that would most definitely help. So I was thinking maybe we could encourage a Coaches Without Borders program that not only could benefit PNG but any emerging nation, rugby league nation.
That's a fantastic idea. And a fantastic name.
So, again, I've got all these great ideas, but it's about putting it into process. So, so you need help with those sort of things and being exposed to bigger things like this podcast. And someone might come knocking on my door and say, "How I can help you out there." So I'm always open and welcome for that. Yeah.
Okay. And also, Matthew, I'm going to get you a place that you'd want those balls sent, and we can put that into our socials. Because that's a great idea, and that is something small and easy that anyone is sitting. Now, often we have people contact us saying, "What can I do to help?" And we say, "Well, we'll try and find out." That ball one is a really simple one to start with, and then the Coaches Without Borders is such a great idea, and I can't wait to see. Once we put stuff out in the universe, mate, often it happens. So that's a great idea. I really hope it comes out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, mate. This has been great. And if you've got any other questions or comments you want to do before we finish?
Oh, mate, I just really like to thank you for having me on the podcast. Having listened to some of the content that you've had on there, it's great to hear the content from all around the rugby league world and hear about the growth of our game. So, as you mentioned before, I spoke to Rob Bergen over the weekend, just having a bit of background knowledge of his story, and it's an amazing story of the impact that rugby league not only had on his own life, but how he's now used that to influence making an impact across the game and globally. So I guess Rob, he's a fairly humble man and would probably embarrass me talking about him like this. But I think those are the stories that we need to shed some light on, because people are working ridiculously hard in the background,
Right.
and to allow players from almost any country in the world now to play the great game that we love on the international stage. So I find that sort of stuff so inspiring. So I'd also just like to thank you for your interest in the Hunters and the game in PNG. So thanks, Big T. I've enjoyed it, mate.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's just like you, champion. I love listening to what's happening around the world. It's the best sport in the world, and it seems to magnetise the best people in the world to it. So it's fantastic to talk to people like yourself. Well, thanks, Matty.
Thanks for having me on, T.